We may have another DeepSeek moment on our hands. Moonshot Labs, a Chinese frontier AI company, just released a completely open source, completely open weights, frontier level model that is better than GPT-5, better than Claude 4.5 on some of the hardest benchmarks. Let me break it all down for you. And this video is brought to you by Vultr, more on them later. This is Kimi K2 thinking. This is a thinking model that is capable of thinking for a long time and using tools in its thought process. And already people are saying this is an incredible model. We've done some initial tests. I'm going to show you that towards the end of the video. All right, so let's get into the details. Built as a thinking agent, it reasons step by step while using tools, and it achieves state-of-the-art performance on humanities last exam, browse comp, and other benchmarks. It can execute up to 200 to 300 sequential tool calls without human interference and can reason coherently across hundreds of steps to solve the most complex problems. This is Moonshot's attempt to scale up test time reasoning for the Kimi series of models, and they have created an incredible model. All right, let's look at some of the benchmarks. Here is humanities last exam. This is one of the hardest benchmarks on the planet. And look at this. Kimi K2 thinking coming in with a score of 44.9 as compared to GPT-5 at 41.7. It beats GPT-5 at humanities last exam. A fully open source, fully open weights model now is better than frontier models out of the US closed source labs. And Claude Sonnet 4.5 thinking scoring a 32. It is also incredibly good at agentic browsing and search. In fact, they even built an agentic mode into Kimi, which they haven't released yet. It should be released pretty soon, but look at this. Agentic search for browse comp, K2 thinking scoring a 60.2 versus 54.9 for GPT-5, and a measly 24.1 for Claude Sonnet 4.5 thinking. We have SweBench verified, although it is coming in last place amongst GPT-5 and Claude Sonnet 4.5 thinking, it is still a very good score at 71 versus 74 for GPT-5 and 77 for Claude. Then we have Live Codebench v6, which is a competitive programming benchmark, 83.1 for Kimi K2, 87 for GPT-5, and 64 for Sonnet 4.5 thinking. All right, so let me show you this example. Here it is solving a PhD level mathematics problem, and it does so with 23 tool calls in its chain of thought. So check this out. I'm not going to be able to explain what's going on here, but I just want to show you it actually kind of going through the process of solving this. So here's the question. Now we have reasoning completed. We can go in and we can actually see all of the crazy reasoning that's happening at every different step. Scroll down, we can see it also did web search. So hyperbolic normal distribution PDF. So it's actually looking for references, for sources to help inform how to solve the problem. Goes back and forth again. And basically, it's just super impressive between searching for more information, reasoning, searching for more information. I am blown away by its capability. And then at the very end, it got the right answer. And again, I'm not going to be able to explain how or why, but here we are. It is also incredibly good at coding, of course, and we have multiple examples provided by the Kimi team. So check this out, a component-heavy website, essentially a word clone, and we can see here, I can delete stuff. We have different fonts, we have different font sizes, italics, bold, underline, strike through, all of these work. Even if I click save, it saves the document to my local computer. Next, look at this example. We have a math explainer, visualization of gradient descent. And again, this is created all using a single prompt. And so we actually can see a full visualization of gradient descent. This is gonna be great for me who uses a lot of B-roll and a lot of explainer visuals. So I'm definitely gonna be checking this out. Here's a model test that I've used in the past. I don't know if they've seen one of my videos or not, but this is basically the exact test that I've run on previous models. Here we go. Simulation of virus attacking cells in a bloodstream. We have different sliders for the number of viruses. As you can see here, we have the replication rate, We have the types of viruses, aggressive stealth and fast replicating, number of white blood cells, white blood cell speed, detection range, and so on. So very cool. And if you want to run incredible open source, open weights models like Kimi K2 Thinking, check out the sponsor of today's video, Vultr. Vultr is the world's largest independent cloud provider, and they've been a fantastic partner to us. So I'm really excited to tell you about them again today. So if you need to provision GPUs, whether you're just tinkering on your own AI project or you're scaling up to production, Vultr is the place to go. They offer the latest AMD and NVIDIA GPUs, spanning 32 locations across 6 continents, so you're going to get the lowest latency. They also offer industry-leading price to performance with serious accessibility and reliability. So with Vultr's global, fully composable cloud infrastructure, you move your applications closer to your users and frees you from vendor lock-in, which you know I've talked about quite a bit on this channel. They also have Vultr Kubernetes engine, which allows you to scale beyond just a single container. So if you're tired of waiting in line for other GPU providers, check out Vultr today. They're offering my viewers $300 in credits for your first 30 days when you visit getvultr.com/Berman. And remember to use code Berman300. Thanks again to Vultr. Back to the video. We also have this vinyl simulation, drop the needle to play. So we have kind of like a circular set of words. Then I drop the needle and it starts playing. Now it doesn't have any sound, which is kind of weird. I would have thought it had sound, but it doesn't. But it still looks very cool. And then last, it allows you to create live music using Strudel, which I had not heard of, but looks very cool. So Strudel, I believe, is a coding language that allows you to create music. So very cool examples. And stick around, I'm gonna show you one more example later in the video of a test that my team ran on Kimi K2, and I was blown away by it. Kimi K2 Thinking is also really good at search and integrating the information from search into its thinking process and then running subsequent searches based on everything it learned so far. So on BrowseComp, a challenging benchmark designed to evaluate models' ability to continuously browse, search, and reason over hard to find real-world web information, K2 Thinking achieved a score of 60.2%, significantly outperforming the human baseline of 29.2%. K2 Thinking can execute 200 to 300 sequential tool calls driven by long horizon planning and adaptive learning. Now look at this complex logical problem that Kimi K2 was given. So the information below is about an individual who is an alumnus of a university founded after 1860 but before 1890, was a university athlete and later played for a professional American football team briefly, starred in a science fiction film about an alien invasion that was released after 2010 but before 2020, and so on. So it's kind of like a teaser problem. And so look at its thinking. It's reasoning, it does a search, reasoning some more, does another search, and back and forth it goes till it finally comes up with Jimmy Gary Jr. They also say Kimi K2 is really good at creative writing, but I'm usually pretty doubtful that AI is any good at that. So if you want to check out the full benchmarks, they're right here, and I will also drop a link to this in the description below. All right, now let me give you a few reactions from some AI leaders throughout the web on Kimi K2 Thinking's release. All right, first, Imad Mustiq, friend of the live show, founder of Stability AI, says, congratulations to Kimi Moonshot for achieving state-of-the-art on many benchmarks and open sourcing the model. The gap between closed and open continues to narrow even as the cost of increasingly economically valuable tokens collapses. K2 has a unique vibe too, try it out. Now he goes on to talk about the cost of the new model's training. Listen to this. The base Kimi K2 model used 2.8 million H800 hours with 14.8 trillion tokens, about $5.6 million, which, by the way, is crazy to think about that these frontier models are getting so cheap to train. Then he says the details of the post-training for the reasoning version is not given, but likely max 20% more excluding data prep would be less than $3 million for state-of-the-art if they had Blackwell chip access. Very interesting to think about. The cost of training frontier models is dropping so quickly. All right, and of course, everyone's thinking, how does this compare to DeepSeek? Can you believe in 2025, at the very beginning of 2025, we had the DeepSeek moment with R1, and now at the end of 2025, we have the Kimi K2 moment, and incredibly, both open source, open weights models. So on the left, we have DeepSeek R1, 671 billion parameters, And Kimi K2 thinking is a trillion parameters. The vocabulary size, bigger is better, 129,000 versus 160,000 on the vocab size for Kimi K2 thinking. Both of them are mixture of experts, with the DeepSeek having 256 and Kimi K2 thinking having 384 experts, so more experts over there. And interestingly, even though this is a bigger model, there are 37 billion parameters active during inference for DeepSeek and 32 billion active during inference for this new Kimi K2 thinking model. So even less, more efficient. And they are equal context lengths at 128,000. Thank you to Sebastian Raska for putting this together. And by the way, if you want to learn to use Kimi K2 thinking and other models, you should download The Subtle Art of Not Getting Replaced ebook. This ebook contains 100 different use cases that you can use AI for today, real world use cases. So check it out, download it. Let me know what you think. Nathan Lambert of interconnects.ai, expert at all things training, had this to say about Kimi K2 thinking. He says early reports it has a distinctive style in writing, which is very welcome. And interestingly, he says it's a 256K context length. I thought it was only 128, but it seems like it might actually be 256. Trillion total parameters, 32 billion active. We just talked about that. And I think really the crux of his writing and what I've been thinking about a lot is right here in this section. China's rise. At the start of the year, most people loosely following AI probably knew of 0 AI labs. Now, and towards wrapping up 2025, I'd say all of DeepSeek, Qwen, and Kimi are becoming household names. They all have seasons of their best releases and different strengths. It took many Chinese companies only 6 months to catch up to the open frontier in ballpark of performance. Now the question is if they can offer something in a niche of the frontier that has real demand for users. So it really seems like not only has open source open weights caught up to frontier models, but also they're kind of just coming out of China. We had an open weights model from OpenAI, but it's not a frontier model. That is GPT-5. We haven't had another version of Llama from Meta. And so, yeah, China is really pushing the open source open weights frontier. All right, now let me show you what my team created with Kimi K2 thinking. You can get to this on kimi.com. Analyze the relationship between population density and healthcare facility accessibility in Ghana. Download the latest World Population Raster and any open dataset of health facility coordinates. Compute the average population density within a 10-kilometer radius around each facility. Rank the top 10 districts by lowest per capita facility coverage and generate a map and bar chart comparing results. Okay, so check this out. It is writing a to-do, and this is OK Computer. And this is something specific to Kimi. So this is kind of like a scratch pad and an environment that it can run in. So this is just beyond impressive. So boom, created a full to-do list, started marking off the to-dos. As you can see, did some searches, browsing. Here we go. You can actually see the browse happen. So here it went to World Pop, clicked around. All of this stuff happened. We only gave it one piece of feedback. This part of it is a mess, and just go debug and fix it. And watch this. Let me show you the end result. Here we go. Remember, this is created entirely by Kimi K2 thinking and one piece of feedback. So healthcare accessibility, boom. Executive summary, the page looks nice. Here we have an interactive map where you actually have an overlay. It tells you more information about the healthcare facilities. And remember, it downloaded all this information. It just found it. District level disparities. Here we have more interactive charts. Look at this. This is just unreal. All these different types of charts and graphs. So impressive. At the bottom, we have even more. Forgive the colors. I'm just using dark mode everything. It would look a lot better if I turned that off. We have limitations and next steps, data sources and methodology. You can download the CSVs of the facility analysis, district coverage, and underserved areas. And again, all of this created in just a few minutes with really one prompt. So impressive. And once again, thank you to Vultr for sponsoring this video. Click through the link in the description below. Let them know I sent you. Try out incredible open source models. Thanks again to Vultr. So that's it. My team is fully testing the Kimi K2 thinking model. We're going to put together a full testing video most likely. So stick around for that. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.